Approval processes in Zoho Recruit. Now, in an organization, there might be several instances where a recruiter might need an approval or a decision from their senior decision makers. Now, to ensure that these approvals or rejections are directly captured within the product, Zoho Recruit has a default feature called Approval Processes. Now, to configure an approval process, navigate to Setup on the right top corner, select Approval Processes within Automation, and go ahead and click on the Add Approval Process button on the right top corner. And when creating a new approval process, you can select the module for which you're creating the approval process for. You can give a name and a description which is for your own reference. And finally, you can determine the trigger based on which the approval is going to be sent across on your Zoho Recruit account. These triggers involve either when a record is being created or when a record is edited. You can either select both of them or any one of them depending on the approval process in your organization. Once you're done filling the basic details, you can go ahead and start adding rules to this process. Now, within an approval process, when you create a rule, you can determine the criteria based on which the approval needs to be triggered. So we go ahead, select a field and add our criteria. You can also choose to add multiple criterias together and edit the Boolean pattern as well under the criteria pattern section. Once you're done adding your criteria, you can then go ahead and determine who should approve the record. Now, the list of approvers usually involve a specific user, users that belong to a role, or user groups that you've created within users and control, or levels of reporting as well, or the reporting manager of a specific user too, and the job openings related users such as the hiring manager or the user who creates the job. And finally, any user that is relevant to the department such as the department lead or the department that is selected on the job opening in this case. Now, you can also choose to combine multiple approvers together by selecting an approver and then determine whether any one of the user needs to approve the record, in which case either the first user or the second user in this case can approve the record and the approval will be captured. Or we can select everyone where every single user's approval is required for the record to be processed further. And when you select everyone, you have the option to specify the approval order either as sequential or parallel. Sequential is when the record goes to approval for each user one after the other. Parallel is when the approval is opened up for all the users involved in the approval process and each one of them can come into the record and approve it at any point in time. But keep in mind, even if it is parallel, all approvals will be required for the record to be processed further. You can also enable auto approve in case if any one of the selected users such as the hiring manager or created by or any one of them correlates to the approvers. That is, if an existing approver creates the record or is a hiring manager on a record, this record can be auto-approved. You can also choose to assign a task to the approvers which will serve as a reminder to the user to approve the record. Now, once you're done determining who the approvers are going to be, you can determine the actions that are involved once the approval is completed under Actions Upon Approval. You can either choose to update a specific field value, you can assign a task to a specific user, you can send out an email as an alert within Zoho Recruit, you can execute a webhook or a custom function as well. Alternatively, if the record is rejected, you can also specify actions upon rejection as an alert or a field update or a webhook call or execute a custom function too. Once you're done determining the criteria, the approver and the actions upon approval or rejection, you can go ahead and click on Done. You can add multiple rules in a single approval process where based on the rule, automatically the approvers will be assigned to the specific record. Once you're done with all your rules, you can go ahead and click on Save. This will create the approval process view, and using the status icon or the status bar toggle here, you can choose to enable it and have it active. Or if you do not want to have this approval process active on your account, you can go ahead and disable this. Now, once the approval has been activated, you can now go ahead and start creating records or edit records based on which the approval process is going to be triggered on your Zoho Recruit account. So as an example, let us go ahead and create a job opening that aligns with the approval process. Go ahead. Now the job opening record has been created and the approval has been triggered as well. As an approver, I can either go to my actions and review the approvals that are pending for me, or I can directly go to the specific record within the module in which the approval has been triggered. On the right top corner, I'll have a button called Submit Decision. Now users can click on Submit Decision and either choose to approve or reject this record along with their comments. Alternatively, if the user is not able to approve or reject the record, they can also choose to delegate this approval to an alternative user, where the alternative user will become responsible for completing the approval process. And only after the record has been approved can the recruiters process this particular record any further. If not, this particular record will be logged until further action. And if a record is rejected, the users will have to modify the record and reinitiate the approval for any further actions.